Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. So we're going to look at this shabad in depth today. Because this shabad covers a lot of what Gurbani says and what Sikhi is, Hana. So, first of all, I'm just going to read what AI says about this shabad, Hana. Duk Daru Sukh Rog Paya is a profound Gurbani quote from the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, Ang 469, so page 469, by Guru Nanak Dev Ji, meaning suffering, duk is the medicine, daru, and pleasure slash comfort, sukh, is the disease, rog. It implies that pain drives a person to remember God and seek spiritual growth, while material comfort often leads to ego and forgetfulness of the divine. Key meanings and context. Suffering as medicine. Pain breaks down arrogance, teaches humility, and forces the mind to turn inward and connect with the divine. Comfort as a disease. Pleasure often acts as a disease because when comfortable individuals tend to forget God and become trapped in worldly Maya illusion. So this Shabbat, you know, it breaks down the game that Waheguru was playing. So we were all once apart from Waheguru. We were united. We were in union. Creation came. Our souls now are separated, and the game is to beat Maya with Guru's grace and remember Waheguru. Remember, we were once Waheguru, so Waheguru hasn't got an ego. We the ones with the ego, because we think we're separate and we think we are powerful. We need to break down our ego with Nam, Gurbani, Seva, charity, humility, and Guru's Kirpa, and get back and join like rain droplets merging with the ocean. So what comes in our way is Maya, the illusion, the bunch jaw, greed, anger, lust, attachment, and ego. These keep us away from Waheguru, and it's meant to be like a wrestling match, We're meant to wrestle with these. How do we calm these down? How do we control these? How do we change these from bad negative energies to good energy? So, instead of anger, it will be love. Instead of greed, it will be charity. Instead of attachment, it will be contentness. You know, basically, imagine like these make our soul like a volcano, hot, ready to erupt. When we do Barney and stuff, we become cool, soothed, like chilling, like ice, relaxed. When we're in that relaxed state, that's when we can, go into bliss. And these five ain't making us do sin, they ain't making us do bad deeds. Now, some people struggle with different parts of the bunch. Now, where we live, what I've noticed from my youth work, calm is a killer, lust. Because in the UK, in the current environment, attachment is pretty bad. We're all attached to our families, friends, to where we live sometimes, to our jobs or wherever, When something goes wrong, it and it causes us misery, or we can't take the pain when someone dies and we feel suicidal and stuff. That is attachment, A lot of us are greedy, but a lot of us will have greedy thoughts like, let me rob a bank, or I wish I won the lottery, or let me steal this car or whatever. But a lot of us won't carry out some of the thoughts on greed because there's laws. You rob a bank, you go jail. You do fraud, you can go jail. You steal a car, you can go jail. But not saying these thoughts won't come in your mind, yeah? But there's laws preventing us from carrying out some of the thoughts. Same goes with anger. You want to beat that guy up, or that guy needs stabbing up, but then that comes with 30 years jail sentence, and it might prevent you from doing it because you think it's not worth it or whatever, Hanan. So you have these angry thoughts, but you might not carry out these angry deeds because there's consequences sometimes, yeah, most of the time. In the UK, definitely. In other countries, people do carry out their anger. But in the UK, there's no laws against, masturbation. There's no laws against watching porn. There's no laws against dating. There's no laws against sleeping around. And so people tend to act on their lustful instincts a bit more, So lust is worldly pleasure. And obviously it's needed in some quantity, in some control, in a marriage, in a family, to procreate. I know that is the Sikhi essence. We're not Sikhi's not saying go and live in an island and don't entertain Grist Jivan. uh Sikhi saying like procreate, you can have a family. Most of the gurus had families. A lot of bhagats, a lot of sants, they all had families, some didn't. It's their choice, yeah. You can get to God within a family life and without a family life. But we have that option. If you want to just focus on your spirituality, you can. There's no set rule. There's been great bhagats and sons that have had families, and there's been great bhagats and sons that haven't had families as well, and warriors as well. You know? But we are not mandatory like some religions or ways that you have to not to get to God. You can't have a family and you have to sit in a cave and just meditate all day. You know, meditation is a big part of Sikhi, but the meditation, the job is not all just about sitting down. It's about constantly remembering God while you're working, while you're doing your day to day lives, and just thinking about God. When you see your children, you see them as God's creation and stuff. So in life, people that have experienced a lot of pain. So what you find in life is people that have experienced a lot of pain and that take guidance from the guru or God or have a spiritual path due to this pain. They have a lot of depth. They have more empathy. They understand more. They're more real talkers. They're a bit more raw. Then you get people that think they're spiritual, but because they haven't had the experience of pain, the spirituality can be superficial. When they experience real pain, they crumble, you know. But someone that spirituality is made from a lot of dock, they are hardened spiritualists. You know what I mean? So most of us will have an auntie, cousin, sister, or sister called, just say most of the names were Polly, Dolly, or whatever, yeah. And they've just had it lucky, uh, and they live in their best life. They get any job they want. God's given them good features. They're pretty. They get any man they want. They've passed their driving license first time. They've done quite good on their exams. You know, they just fluke life. They've got the money. They can move job to job. Everything's just going well. But then there's no depth to them. They're like bimbos. Huh? You might have an uncle called Dave or whatever, and he's the same. He's the male version, the male bimbo. Everything just goes well, this and that. Then you've got somebody that's beat cancer or that's had a pain, seen a lot of doc, and things don't go well for them. But they are closer to God, then they have depth to them. Do you know what I'm saying? This is where pain becomes the remedy. When you're out there, you're enjoying the illusion. What is orgasm is a worldly pleasure. It's a muscle, nerves, mechanical response. With Garm, it's biologically in our body as well. The rest of the punch jaw, they're in our mind. Lust Garm is in our mind. It can get triggered by thoughts, memories, aesthetics of somebody, but also it's in our biology because we're made. It's hardwired because we have, you know, we're kind of made to reproduce in it. We have reproductive organs, so that's why when we get something that kind of sets up some biological response, it's harder to control as well. That's why calm is high up there as well, because of the biological response. It's in our hormones. We see something and we get turned on, or it makes you feel horny. There's a biological hormonal response, and that kind of kicks off, and that's why it's hard to fight it. But Maharaj tells us fighting this bunge is like a wrestling match in the mind. You will take losses. You just have to keep getting up, trying again. Eventually, when we first start on the spiritual path, this bunch jaw, we might become more aware of them, or they might increase in their power, trying to get you off the path. One of them happens because when we start our Simran, it's not an easy path. It gets easier after you accumulate some bhakti, some devotional worship, prema bhakti, and you have some discipline, you have some dedication, you have some routine going, and you're always improving on that routine as much as you can. You will have ups and downs in life. You'll climb the ladder to God, then some sort of it could be a lustful act that will pull you down 3 steps again. Then you take 2 steps, like snakes and ladders. You think you're getting somewhere, you think to get into the end, then the snake comes and you have to go all the way back. Sometimes you might go to a few good Kirtan programs, have a bit of good sangat for a bit, and then you move up the ladder. And like snakes and ladders, and then you get higher up. But until we don't get to the end goal, which is Sachkhand, these ups and downs will keep happening. So if you think, oh, I'm going through a lot of pain and oh, my life is cursed, God doesn't love me, sometimes, it takes a bit of pain to get you. It could be a blessing in disguise, you know. Sometimes when we discipline our children, they think we don't love them. But that discipline, that harshness, sometimes punishments, back in the day used to be a little slap to wake them up, you know, to say, what are you doing? And we love them. And these punishments, these things are to get them on the correct path. So this is why sometimes you go through pain to get you on the correct path. Otherwise, you will indulge in delusion, you will indulge in greed, maya, work, the rat race, attached to your family, worshipping the creation instead of the creator, just indulging in this, going from partner to partner to partner, relationship junkies, indulging in, the pleasure of orgasms, the pleasure of nasha, the pleasure of, I'm not saying that Sikhi says sit in a cave, you can celebrate stuff, you can have a good time as well. But in the back of the mind, you gotta know that it's all temporary. You gotta have that bhakti, you gotta have that remembrance of God. When you're having a good time and you're not remembering God, that's when you're indulging, that's when it's a disease. But Sikhi can go on holidays, you can have family picnics, the odd cultural bhangra or gidda, to celebrate something. I don't see no harm in that myself, that's my personal opinion, you know. So yeah, so I just wanted to break this Shabbat down. This Shabbat kind of can summarize a lot of Sikhi, a lot of life's ups and downs, and sometimes pain is a blessing. I know it doesn't seem like that way when you're going through it, and we got to remember everyone's gonna die, guys. Some people die young, some people are older. There is tragedies, it's just, this is a temporary game, we are all, gonna be born and die. What happens between them is individual, subjective, destiny, choices, whatever, Hannah. But yes, take care, people, and yes, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.